All right, looks to be recording. The heck am I going to talk about? Hello, everyone. This is Ryan for the Stitch Drop podcast. Thanks for coming back. This is a podcast about everything that's yarny goodness, specifically knitting, a little bit of spinning, potentially a little bit of crochet. I've recently gotten into dyeing as well, so hopefully there's going to be a mixed bag, whether it not be today, but in the future. So thanks for joining me, whether you've just joined me for the first time or you're coming back from watching previously, although especially if you're coming back from watching previously, thank you for returning and thank you for being so patient. After the last week's podcast, it was a really long one, and it did not occur to me that the longer episodes take longer to edit and longer to update or longer to upload. It took me a while. So I'm sorry that was a little late. It actually just got published a couple of days ago, and now here I am filming another one because you're never going to get better if you don't practice, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm back in the saddle again, I guess. My nice new mug. My sister got me this for Christmas. I think it's fantastic, and that's really what I've been doing all day. I'm drinking a some kind of latte from Shelburne Falls Coffee House. I don't know what it is. My husband went out this morning and came back with it because he's amazing. I can't even tell you right now how amazing he really is. So, you can find me on Ravelry and on Instagram as Rebo95. There's a podcast group, there's a Ravelry group for this podcast. It's the Stitch Drop podcast group. You can find us there. We are in the middle of a knit along right now. Not that you'd know it from the progress that I'm making. We're working on the Waiting for Rain shawl. I hear that Annie and Sarah are almost done. Both. I think they're in the last leg of it. I'm still in the first. I don't think I'm gonna make it. And I'll show you what I'm talking about too, because I'm not gonna make it. Not if I keep going at the rate that I'm going right now. So let's see, the Ravelry group. I mentioned the knit along, so that's 2. I have a Twitter account. I have a Tumblr account. I don't frequent them so often anymore, so I almost don't even want to say that I'm there. But if you want to go, I'm on Pinterest. Always Rebo95. So if you're somewhere in the social medias and you feel like looking me up, just type it in there and you'll find me. So let's get started because I want to keep this as short as I possibly can, considering how long the last episode was. So we'll do a kind of minisode. That's such a crappy word. Oh my goodness. Okay, whatever. Pretend I didn't say that. So, biggest work in progress. Been working on this all day today. This is my Stray Moy cardigan. I am taking the class currently with the designer, who is Cardigan. And it's a really beautiful sweater. I really do love this pattern. Look at that stitch pattern. Oh, it looks huge. Am I really that big? I don't know. I know it's going to have a couple of inches of extra ease, and that's fine because it's probably warm enough that I'm going to wear it as a jacket instead of a sweater, but it's kind of crazy. And I'm starting to kind of get concerned. I'm doing the shoulder increases now, so we're up to the armpit. Like, there's my armpit. And I'm at the increases, so I gotta be getting there soon. Yeah, I guess there's a little more room to go, but whatever. I've got all of these markers because this is how I count my decrease rounds. What I usually do at the beginning is it's obviously raglan construction. You can tell from looking at it, unless you've never made a raglan before, and then you don't know what I'm talking about. So it's a raglan construction, which means that you decrease at 4 points along like where your shoulder seams are. I'm actually wearing one right now. And that's how the construction works. So what I usually do is count up how many times I need to do a repeat, whether it's a decrease or if I'm working on lace or whatever. And I will count out as many markers as rounds. I will count out as many markers as I need per round or for repeats. And this time I had them all on this is going to be steeked. So this is where I would cut it. So this is going to be the steek area. And I had them all pinned there. So that way when I put my last pin on the decrease row, I know that's how many I was supposed to do. Theoretically, it works. Except then I did my final stitch count, and the pattern, it just says, do these decreases, do it X many of times, and then at the end you should have this many stitches. And I counted up at the end and I'm 2 stitches short, which I don't understand because I found at least 3 different places where I missed a decrease. I am all kinds of messed up. I don't know what I'm going to do about it. I've been working on this nonstop all day. I was behind for the last class. I have class again tomorrow morning. I'm like flopping this thing around all in front of the camera. Sorry. So I've got class tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to do to try to fix it. I think I'm going to go through and try to figure out how many stitches I should have on each section of the raglan. So like front, back, and then each of the sides, and then just count them up if I can and see if I can figure out where they were missing so I can put them back. Or I think I'm supposed to decrease one more time in the next round, and maybe I'll just leave a couple of them off. But the problem with that is I don't know where to put them. So I got to do a little bit of thinking about this, but it's coming along. I think last time I showed it, gosh, I only had the bottom part done. That's right, because it was drying. It had to be cleaned. So I'm gonna hold it up and block the whole thing here. It's quite a bit bigger than it was before, but it's coming out really nice. In order to make sure that I can include it in Katie's knit along from inside number 23, she's doing a Harry Potter along for the entire year, the rules of which I completely mixed up last time. So just go to her channel. She's got a nice little video to explain it all. So if you're curious and you want to take part, go to hers. But I'm calling it my wizard's chest sweater because I think the pattern just kind of reminds me of a chessboard. It's really cool looking. So we'll have that tomorrow. I'm supposed to be up to the collar by then. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm going to have to knit for the rest of the day. I actually got off of my butt off the couch and took a shower and slapped some makeup on just for you fine people. So, yeah, I'm going to be back to knitting for the rest of the night, I'm sure. So there's that. The second project I've been working on, and I brought it up last time. I don't know that I've done too much more since then. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, maybe a little bit, because I think I was going out last weekend. I my husband was in a bowling tournament, which was pretty cool, and so I went out to watch. I also bowl, so it's not like it's, a completely non thing for me, but I was working on my cookies and cream socks, and I know I had showed you the finished sock last time. I think I had a little bit of the toe done. I'm up to the heel now. I'm just about to start turning the heel. I'm using the Toe Up Sockmaticians Toe Up Socks. It's a recipe for making socks with a heel flap from toe up, which is super awesome because I feel like heel flaps fit me best. And I have really monstrous feet, so it's good to work from the bottom up so I know that I'm not going to run out of yarn when I make the second sock. I also really hate doing socks 2 at a time, and they're super fiddly, so it's really easy if you're not careful to run out of room in the second sock. And sometimes I'll short my socks a little bit because the feet are so big, and then I end up with a good sized nugget of yarn left, and I'm really upset that I didn't get to use it all, and my socks feel a little short, so this is a really good way to do it. So basically what I did was I made 2 balls. I didn't weigh my yarn because I didn't have a scale at that point, but I was using a yard counter, and I wound all of the yarn into 1 ball and measured how many yards that was, split that in half, and then wound it off again into 2 separate balls that were 50% essentially, so that I know when I reach the end of the ball, I have enough for 1 sock. And that's how I've been doing it. So they're really soft. I really love the yarn. It's Plymouth Happy Feet 100 Splash, which means it's speckled. And it's really squishy. I've got a 3x1 rib. Other than the Sockmatician's recipe, I'm not really using any patterns, so I'm just doing what seems right, and they're coming out really good, so I'm looking forward to actually wearing those. I did have a little bit of a kerfluffle because I miscounted in the gussets, and I went a little too big, and I was looking at it thinking, how big is my foot really? Because this is going to be bigger than the second and then the first sock, and realized that I did like twice the number of gusset increases that I was supposed to. I obviously need to start paying more attention to what I'm actually knitting. It's kind of ridiculous. So there's that. What else have I got? I've got one more, and I don't think I brought this up last time. I want to cast on all of the things, but I'm taking these classes right now, so it's really hard to do that. So just the work that I'm doing on those socks is probably something I shouldn't be doing right now, and that's probably why I'm a little behind in my classes. But I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I've been taking so many classes for so long, I'm getting a little tired of knitting on a deadline just for a little while. So the socks are kind of trying to help me mix it up a little bit. Plus the projects that I'm working on for classes don't travel easy. That sweater's getting too big to manage on the go, and I'm taking a lace class that has some really intricate lace panels this week. So it's not stuff that you really want to do while you're in line at the bank. It's not stuff that you can put down really easily. So I do have a couple of socks on the go. I've got those, but I couldn't turn the heel while I was at the movies, and I had indicated I was going to cast on, and I can't remember if I showed it to you last time. I don't think so, because I went to the movies on Tuesday. So, back it up a little bit. Once Upon a Corgi, Gabby, had a yarn update like she quite frequently does, but she had made some ice dyed yarn or snow yarn. I think it's technically called ice dyed. And I know she did it last year and I didn't get any of it. And this year's really caught my eye, and I just happened to find out about it right as the update was going up. So I bought some and I love it. And she's having a knit along right now for all things made from her yarn. So I had just gotten it in the mail when she announced it. That's pretty exciting. And then Nathan Taylor, Sockmatician, who made that pattern, is also having a knit along, but it's just specifically, I think, socks. Doesn't have to be his patterns, but socks. And so those are already more than 50% done. I can't in good conscience enter those, even if he allowed it, into his knit along for any kind of prizes or anything. So I cast on a second pair of socks that I intend to put into both of those. But they will not be a Nathan Taylor pattern. I'm using the Afterthought Everything socks because I was also going to see a movie. I was going to see Logan on Tuesday night. And the only mobile project I had were those socks, and I couldn't turn a heel in the dark because, who turns a heel in a dark movie theater? Whatever. So I cast on a pair of socks earlier in the night, and this is what I've got so far. There we go. Those colors are actually coming out pretty good. I'm having a hard time with the pink in this. So the blue is Madeline Tosh in the color ink. That's Tosh Twist Light, I think. And this is the Once Upon a Corgi on the ginger base. Yes? Ginger? Yep. And she's labeled it 2017 Snowstorm, the last big blizzard that we had. Ice yarn or snow yarn refers to the way that the dye is applied to the yarn. So you put the yarn like in a pot, you pack a whole bunch of ice and snow on top of it, and then you put some dye on top of that, and as it melts, the dye is then applied to the yarn. So she did it during the snowstorm, and there was only a couple of skeins, so I picked one up, and that's what I'm knitting with. It's really beautiful. It's really sparkly. It's really soft. Let me see if I can get that. The only thing is when I'm photographing it, or in this case, putting it on the video, if it'll focus, that pink looks really orange, and really it's kind of a salmon color. Maybe if I pull it back, it's still looking really orange. It's really more pink than that, but an orangey pink. It's like a salmony kind of color with some blue, and then they meld together to make some really interesting purples, and it's so sparkly. You see that? Oh yeah, you can see that. Look how sparkly that is. It's so pretty. So I wanted to cast it on ASAP, and I did. I obviously didn't get much done. This is how much I got done during the movie. It was a really good movie though. So there were parts where I was knitting like a stitch a minute because I was so riveted by what I was seeing on screen. It was pretty cool. But this is on the go for me. It's just something to work on, and hopefully I'll be able to finish it by the end of the month. But if I don't, I mean, whatever. Both of those knit-alongs are until the end of the month. But this might also be another reason why I'm not getting that shawl done, is because all of my house knitting is being eaten up by my classes, and I'm at a lace panel right now, so it's a little too complicated to also travel with me. So I haven't made any progress on my Waiting for Rain shawl. I'm a bad person. I'm not going to finish for my own knit-along. It's awesome. Great. So that's all I've got for works in progress. No finished objects this week. Nothing new. Let's see. Yeah, no finished objects. That's kind of sad. However, I did find out, let's get the crinkle over with. I did find out I am a follower of Kristen of the Volenvine podcast, and I was a lucky subscriber winner. She had I think a 10,000 subscriber giveaway. That's pretty massive. And she gave away a couple of skeins from her recent yarn club. And I am the happy recipient of this beautiful thing. Check that out. It's called Moonburn, and it's got these beautiful purples and speckles, and there's actually some like reds and oranges in there. You can kind of see them like right here. There, by my other finger. Oh. Keep it out of my face. It's so beautiful. And I'm gonna do my damnedest not to cast that on right away, but it's so pretty. It's so soft. So I'm gonna pet it for a little while and think on it. I've got so many sweater projects and so many other things to do. It just doesn't make sense for me to cast it on anytime soon. But I'm keeping it in the plastic. That's the crinkling you hear. Came in a beautiful plastic bag with her card, which I now have facing the wrong way, but I'll put her card up there. She also has a podcast. That is the Yarngasm podcast. There she is. You can find her on Instagram. You can find her on Facebook. All these pretty places. She's got some really beautiful yarns and a very specific palette. Like I can look at a yarn and say, yeah, that's hers. And I really appreciate that. Being able to recognize someone in their work is pretty cool. So that's my new stash for the week. I don't know what else I have to talk about. I can see if anybody asks any questions. All right, so I'm losing my light, and it looks like there's no comments in the Ravelry group or on the YouTube channel. Oh, goodness. All right, well, I closed my laptop like 5 times, and that caused the camera to stop recording, and then I don't know, whatever, technical issues. When am I not fraught with technical issues? But I'm running out of light, so I want to be really quick. Somebody had asked me a couple weeks ago in person about yarn journaling because it's really hot right now and asked if I do any of that. I really don't. I don't have time. I'm doing so many other things right now. It doesn't seem like the best use of my time. I keep all of my project notes and my stash notes on Ravelry, and I keep that pretty updated. I don't have the time to do things. I mean, really, these yarn journals, they're almost like scrapbooks, and that it takes a lot more effort than you would think. It takes a lot of time, and it's time that I'm just not interested in investing right now. So one thing I do is I do keep these little Moleskine notebooks. These ones came in a pack of 3. I have a cocktail recipe on the back of this one. When I'm watching somebody else's podcast, or I'm out and about, or I have an idea about something, if I've been inspired by something, or I see a colorway on a podcast that I want to remember to look at later, or a shop to check out, I just jot it down. I usually jot down what it is, where I saw it, so that if I want to go back, like if it's in somebody's Etsy store, but then I don't see it when I get to the Etsy store, I might want to go back and watch the podcast episode to remember what it looked like. I just want to make sure there's nothing on here that I would want to hide, but just notes like this. I think these are probably all either notes for alongs, or they might be other podcasts to check out. This one here looks like a note for a podcast. There's a couple, I'll put down colorways for particular yarns or maybe designs that I really appreciate, and I'll go check those out later. This was supposed to be my Christmas knitting list. I probably knit for like 3 people on that list this year because I really just didn't do well with it. But so that's what I do. And sometimes as I check things out, I will put little, I do this when I go wine tasting too. I put little smiley faces, and they, the more I like whatever it is, the more expressive they get. So that's really my method. It's mostly madness. There's a few sketches in there for patterns that I might want to, or maybe designs that I might want to try, potential stitch patterns. I might map them out like that, just so if I'm looking for something later. And I think I kind of want to make it a goal. I mean, not a formal goal, but I've been amassing a whole lot of stuff in here lately, and I want to try revisiting it and maybe work on some of these ideas that are in here. I think I got the idea from Alton Brown because we went to go see one of his live shows last year, the year before. If you don't know who he is, he's a celebrity chef who was previously on the Food Network, and now I think maybe he's on like Bravo or something. He kept a notebook, and he said on the first page he put what he knew to be true about cooking, and just about every single one of those things has changed over the years. And he's got a whole notebook's worth of stuff, and that's kind of what I started with, was just like, oh, I want to remember this for later, and then I might build off of it or build an idea off of it. And that's how I keep things organized. Not organized. I'm sorry if you can hear laughing. That's the husband in the other room. His office is adjacent to my office, and he's now home on the weekends, so there's something that'll change. Oh, rocking the camera, sorry. So he might wander in and out as I'm podcasting in the future, but whatever. So I've already gone over. It's getting dark. I could turn some lights on, but I'm done here. That's okay. So thank you for coming back again, especially if you sat through last week's episode. It was massive. I'm sorry. I got most of the way through editing it and was like, should I even be posting this? It's huge. I should have broken it up, and I don't know what I was thinking. But again, practice makes perfect. And so the more you do it, the better you're going to get. And that's how it's going to be with podcasting for me. So I'm calling it quits. I will see you later. Thanks again. Bye.